really are. It's going forward. Just see if you can get it on the hi-hat only. And you get into cross rhythms with yourself. You know, it comes back at you. So you can actually, once again, play less and get paid more. Okay, any other questions? It's kind of hard to see down here.
On all the click strikers, did you use nylon tip sticks?
No, I never use nylon tip sticks. These are the, well, first one, exactly. But I normally use wooden sticks.
Normally wooden sticks?
Yeah, and it's not for the sound or anything like that, but these guys tend to come off.
Yeah.
Which is, well, the wooden sticks break as well, okay, but this is one less thing that can go wrong with stick.
I have a question.
Sure.
When you recorded these, using machines to start with that has added, you're locked into it.
Yeah, I did. There's a lot of thought about drum machines.
Are you using it as a click? Did you ever do that in the hand?
Yeah, I do. I do use a click. Sorry, folks. Not all the time. I suppose, you know, like Murder by Numbers, no click. One World Not Free, no click. Well, you know, about half the numbers, no click. But some of them not only use a click, but you hear the electronic drums at the end of the day. And it's a thing with drum boxes. It's like a great threat to drummers. I have met really, you know, drummers in pop bands in a bar on tour, faces like that, you know, because they're not working anymore because they didn't play on the last album at all because it was done by a drum box. And the lesson there is that the drummer should have owned the drum box. If it was his drum box, he would have been contributing his, you know, his input as rhythmist. And the drummer has to regard himself as more than just the guy who hits the drums. He has to be like the rhythm expert of the band. He has a much more, you know, that's all he really thinks about is how the rhythms lock together. And the drum box is a really important tool. And in fact, it's a real blessing for the drummer because it means that you all know what it's like. The first days of the recording, the drummer's got to get it right. The rest of the band aren't really even playing because they know they're going to overdub all their parts. The drummer's got to get it right. And he's like the first guy's got to warm up and get the sound and everything like that. And you can't overdub or anything like that because it's really hard to drop in and out on drums. And you're taking up 6 to 9 tracks or 16 in some cases. So what the drum box means is the bass player and the guitarist and, you know, the rest of the band can put down their parts, you know, at the tempo, so you don't argue about the comfortable tempo for everybody to sing and play and stuff. You can put it down, and then at the end of the day, just like all the other people, all the, you know, all the grown-ups, you can go and you can overdub it as well, just like the best of them. You can overdub your hi-hat by itself. You can overdub the whole kit if you want. You know, you can still play with the band because some tracks just work better like that. But it really sets free that horrible first week of recording when you're stuck, like having to get it right. And I never get it right in the first week. And so I was really happy when the drum box came along and relieved a lot of that pressure on the first week. It also means that there's something you can do for the rest of the recording session. You don't like having done your drums and then you're like sitting around watching everybody else do their thing. Drum boxes are a great tool. They'll never replace live drums because just drums are more exciting to watch than machines. But they're a useful tool. The first member of the band who should go out and get a drum box is the drummer, because he's the guy who knows how to program the thing and has a feel for, you know, how rhythms can be used. Any more? Yeah, well, another thing, on stage with my band, I was able to have Mr. Oberheim play like the main part of the rhythm. A song like King of Pain, for instance, the drum box played the rhythm and the introduction of the song. I came in like halfway through, but it meant that I could go up to the backstage and got another drum set behind with like bells and xylophones and stuff like that I could screw around with. And also use drums a lot as overdubs, like just a cymbal by itself can really have a lot more effect than a drummer playing his drums and trying to get it right. Because you get used to like a really locked-in feel of a drum box, and once that feel is down there on tape, it's actually quite difficult for the drummer to pick it up and sound as good, even the best of them. But what you can do is like augment it. Things like Every Breath You Take is a DMX bass drum, and live, just a snare drum and a huge gong drum, a tom of my gong drum in front of stand. Bam, bam. And that's all I had to play. And it's amazing how much feel goes into that. It's like tambourine is really hard to play. Bam. And then you just overdub the hi-hat. Of course, you don't want to do every track like that because it's kind of separate. It's not, it's just like a different way of doing different tracks. And I'm in favor of as many different approaches of doing things as possible. I see it here.
Yeah, sometimes people do meta-track. Someone wants to do a hi-hat snare and right.
I'm sorry, hang on a second. It's like that. No, not palm fills. Sometimes, like overdub gong drum occasionally, like going into a chorus or something. It's a great effect. It's like on synchronicity, the one or two I've seen on which now. The one that goes there, the one going into the chorus, you get like a gong go boom. This is like as an overdub. But like palm fills when you're playing, don't really kind of fit in to what you're doing. Trying to overdub there. Certain things work, certain things don't. And also, like I was trying to say, this is where the moral fiber comes in. It's pretty difficult to not do your fills when you're playing the rest of it. You hear me cheating? Is that what you're going to say? No.
I just hear it would be a hard one.
I probably played that line. Lucky accident. Lots of those in the music. There's one in the middle. Yeah. With a loop, with the drums, I crashed around for 20 minutes and found a few bars that I liked. In those days, it was actually real analog. I mean, it was only like 3 years ago or something like that. It seems like the dim, dark ages before, sequencing really got good and everything. And sampling, like before sampling was available. And so I just played that, played, and then I got like 4 bars, or it might even be one. I'll use the microphone. It might even have been like 1 bar that I played. Got the best bar, obviously. Anybody can get a good bar if you play long enough and you choose the best bar and put that in the loop. The typewriter was easy. Typewriter is actually a very fun instrument to play. Because you don't have to look where your finger. It's easier than typing, that's for sure. And you just type away and overdub, and I think it's about 6 overdubs on the typewriter. I was proud of that. Here's a hand here. I have to respect hands, this is like school or something. I'm not counting. My mother. And my dad. Actually, I'll make a confession. Should I? Yeah. Nah, sorry. Next question. Come on. How are you giving it away? Huh?
How do you approach your own writing? Like if you're not material?
Very differently from the way I approach my playing. But for some reason, I've landed in a place where I really enjoy writing symphonic music. Just because I like the big sound of a lush orchestra and everything. And I don't seem to find myself writing big drum parts even. But I enjoy playing rock and roll. Just when I sit down behind a guitar or drums, I want to play heavy metal or reggae. But when I write stuff, it seems to all be like symphonic, like flowing melodies and completely unpercussive, almost non-rhythmical stuff. I don't know why that is. One of the great mysteries of life. There's one close up. I'll be able to hear the question. No, they will not. Equalizer, you can turn on television every Wednesday night. Wednesday night, 10 o'clock, is it CBS or NBC? I forget which. It's one of the names. King Lear came and went. That's the thing about ballet, is you do it, you see it, if you blink, you missed it. Because it doesn't show up on record or anything. And releasing albums is like a waste. You know, there's big record companies that have, you know, professional promotion, and it's not really worth their while unless you're going to go on tour and have a hit single and everything. I'm a little bit disillusioned with the recording industry at the moment because it takes all that extra stuff that you have to do, which I've kind of, you know, I enjoyed doing it for almost 10 years, and I will certainly hanker after it again, but for the moment I'm enjoying not having to like go to radio stations and do interviews and stuff like that. So I won't really put it on out. What I'd like to do is get a Wyndham Hill record where it doesn't have a hit single, it doesn't have anything. People just play it, you know, and it doesn't have to need promotion. It doesn't matter if it sells only 10 copies over 5 years. It'd just be a nice record to have on digital, you know. Maybe I'll think of doing something like that. Sure, go ahead. This is a Tama something. I really don't look at the labels that much. That's what Dr. Jeff does. He finds me the right gear to play, and I'm just the drummer. You know. But as for tuning, it's tuned really tight. That's really the big secret, I suppose, is that it's tuned really tight. Something everybody asks me about, you can't see from where you are, is the gaffer tape damping, which is a little technique that I developed of my own. Let me show you. This stuff. This is the stuff you put on to dampen the drums, right? Well, that amount does a certain amount of damping. But if you put a little rib in it there, and another little rib there, that quadruples the amount of damping. It really makes a huge difference. And that is the secret of damping technique. Have a really high, because these drums are very resonant. I think they're like 9 ply or something like that. They're very, very resonant drums. So I can tune them very tight, and they still have a sound, even when they're really tight. And to take the clang off them, these guys here. Don't ask me what I write on the drums. It's naughty. Okay. There you go.
What would you suggest to give a basic outfit to start off with as far as supporting the drum machine and drum set?
Oh, let's see. What do you just, like basics, I suppose you need a Fairlight and synclavier and a percussive. Just check if you're into it, Joke. The drum box, I used the DMX Oberheim for years, and I was convinced that was the best one. I still think it doesn't have the best sound, but Lynn have actually, I think, caught up with the 9000, and I think the sound on the DMX is still better. It's the bass drum. I mean, like the Every Breath You Take bass drum is good old DMX, click, and it goes. But Lynn, the programming, is a lot more sophisticated. However, the price takes it kind of out of the sort of starting sort of range. And since I've been at it for quite a few years, I probably don't know as much as you do about what the good starting out equipment is. I guess the best thing would be some kind of sequencer that locks to a drum box. And then some kind of, I would recommend a 4-track cassette machine to screw around with. And it's a really useful thing for any drummer to get compositional devices together and to think of yourself as a musician rather than as a drummer, because there's only so much you can do with drums. Drums are great fun to play, like tennis. I mean, I'll never get bored of playing them, but I have, I have an inquiring mind.